What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on the tack...
Nope. On the attack. You don't want that.
Right before we went live, Justin said Alex needs a win, and this is not it. I got to be honest. But
I would say
we're going to talk about a bunch
another L for the A, man.
Taking another L and just rolling with it, as I always do.
I know. I love the moment when you were like, "Oh, we're going to start over," and we were like, "Nope, we're going to keep going."
Yeah. It's a dumb enough mistake that I don't mind just putting it out there on the old internet.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, we're going to talk about a bunch of new comic books that have come out this week, and one older comic book. This was a recommendation from Crisp Espinette. I did it again. Christopher.
You're killing it. Oh, my God.
Oh, look at Pete laughing it up. I love it.
That's amazing.
We're going to talk about Silver Surfer Requiem by JMS and Assad Ribic. At the end of the show, if you would like to request something for us to review, do it in the Apple Podcast comments. Leave us a rating and a comment, and we'll get on that. But let's kick it off with the new stuff first. The Variants, #1 from Marvel, written by Gail Simone, art by Phil Noto. This is a new Jessica Jones mystery, and as you can probably tell from the cover, seems like some weird stuff is potentially going on with different versions of Jessica Jones. We don't quite wholly get into that this issue, though we start to tease it. But in the meantime, we get the status quo for Jessica Jones, what's going on with her, and follow that here. I thought this was great and exactly what I wanted out of a Jessica Jones book. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like the way that Gail and Phil really captured the vibe of Jessica Jones from the original Bendis Gato series. It's spot on while also sort of being a little bit refreshing. It doesn't have as much of the hard-nosed version, like sort of dark clouds always circling her. Because I think since the original series, her life has changed a lot. And so it makes sense that she's a little bit sort of busier. She's a little bit less cynical. And I think this is just a great extension. Phil Noto's art is awesome. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, Art's Bananas good. This is a real fun take. Great kind of piece for Jessica here. We'll get to see a lot of like cool parts, what makes her great in different ways. It's really a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, the kind of fun reveal at the end, I don't want to spoil, was also very exciting. They do a good job of getting you excited for more. It's a hell of an issue.
You see the cover for the second issue? And this is not necessarily a spoiler, but it's Jessica Jones kissing that Daredevil.
Hey, come on, man.
Kissing that Daredevil.
Don't spoil it for people.
We'll see what happens. Should be a lot of fun to follow this book. This is great. Very exciting. Let's talk about the end of a series, Batman Catwoman, #12 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Clay Mann. This is wrapping up this mega-series that ostensibly was wrapping up Tom King's run on Batman before it was spun out into its own thing. I know we've been very back and forth about some of the issues involved here, but Pete, as our resident Bat-Cat shipper, how did you feel about how this wrapped up?
Holy shit, it finally all happened. We got it. We got what we were kind of like teased back in 2019 with the start of this kind of thing. But Clay Mann, holy shit, this is some great stuff here. We get everything in this issue, all the things answered, really amazing, powerful stuff, hilarious. That whole Superman bit was really great. Just an amazing story. This is worth the wait and all the kind of back and forth. Like this is just really a lot of fun and great to see this side of Batman a little bit. I do love when we get kind of windows inside his relationship with Supes.
I love windows.
Yeah, it's just that's what panels are. You know what I mean? The combo panels are just windows into people's souls. I'm here for
and their
all
relationship to Supes as a lunch option.
Yeah, and sometimes, when you get older, you got to be like, you know what? Let's just make a pact about killing somebody. You know what I mean? Let's just do it.
I love this as well. I think it, and a series that I think everybody was like, this feels a little all over the place, especially in the middle. It really brought it together in a great way. But I have an issue that I want to talk about on page middle of the comic. It's like page 12 or something. It's a full page spread of Catwoman hugging Bruce, and he's wearing underwear, and he's wearing boxer briefs. And so the way what we're going with here is he wears boxer briefs, and then he puts on his Batman uniform, which is briefs. He has like the brief. What's the deal? He's wearing boxer briefs underneath and then briefs over top.
This is very similar to when he like puts on a mask and then he pulls off his mask and his Batman mask is under it. That bothers me too.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense. You're going to go all boxer briefs, or you're going to go all briefs.
Guys, it's the comic book. Come on, let's be cool about this. All right.
Oh, do you not remember what we do here, sir? We get into the issues that matter.
You can't double brief it. You got to go boxer briefs with a brief. I say it makes a match. You know what I mean?
Do you want to put on tidy whities below that so you get like the triple layer?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Extra protection. That's what I always say.
Protection from what?
You got to get that comfort.
Ladies, stay away.
What?
This is mine.
What just happened?
He's
got a chastity belt.
I'm wondering how much I should poke the bear here with Pete.
I know. I could see the look on your face. You didn't love it.
I'm trying to decide.
I would like to say I was a little disappointed the cover gave things away a little bit. I was a little kind of like, don't give it all away on the cover. You know what I mean? Like covers are fun and great, but like it sucks when the cover spoils a cool reveal.
I think they brought the Mask of the Phantasm Mystery, I guess just Phantasm Mystery, together nicely in here. I'm glad this comic is done. And I respect everybody involved. Love Tom King. I think Clay Mann is great as well. I really feel like this has been a mess all over the place.
You don't think Mask of the Phantasm had beef with Joker? You don't think that was legit?
No, I said the Phantasm.
That's
thing.
the one part.
That was the one thing I said I liked. But here's the thing that's really going to poke the bear here. My main impression reading this is I am ready to move on from Batman Catwoman, just as a couple entirely.
Wow. What are you, sick of them? You're already over them?
You don't love?
What this reminded me of. And
I didn't like the Bat
granted, so there's a side note here, like not a side note. This is the related note. Is Tom King is clearly doing his magnum opus, everything that he needs to say about Batman Catwoman. So maybe part of what I'm feeling is like, I'm full. You gave me a full meal. I'm good to go. But my main impression reading this book was I was like, maybe we can figure out a way to end this relationship now so both of them can move on to other people, because I kind of miss the idea. Yeah, like, no. They don't even need to do that. They could just break up and go in other directions, because part of what I think is interesting about them is not that they're together and tied at the hip all the time, but that they do separate, go to these other people, and always inevitably come back to each other after an amount of time.
Oh, yeah. That's my favorite type of relationship, too, is where I'm stressed out all the time about leaving and coming back. It's hard to enjoy any aspect of my life.
But then Batman dates a bunch of other folks. He dates Vicky Vale. He dates, what's the one you like? Not the Silver Sable type, but that's not
Sasha. Yes, it's funny. My first thought was Silver Sable. Sasha Bordeaux.
Yeah, there.
Great relationship.
Yeah, there you go. So it gives options. Catwoman has a bunch of flings as well, and hooks up with other people. I don't know.
What's your deal? You hate marriage? You just
like? Oh, do you have an open marriage over here?
Yeah. What you don't want someone to be tied down with somebody? I thought.
No, I have a closed marriage. I think I explained about the 3 pairs of underwear I wear that keeps everybody away.
It's very close.
It's close.
Extremely close.
No thanks.
It's one. Down to one.
I can't believe that you thought that was explaining your marriage to us, but okay. All right.
All you need to know about me, I wear 3 pairs of underwear every day.
Yeah, that answers all my questions about
Case
you.
Closed. Let's move on and talk about Public Domain #1 from Image Comics by Chip Zdarsky. This is another book I'm very hesitant to spoil, because almost the whole point of the book comes at the end. A lot of this is laying groundwork for where we're going to be going in the series, but basically what you need to know about it is it's about we don't know exactly the powers, but like imagine the two guys who created Superman had a falling out back in the day. One of them still really loves the character and makes no money off of it. The other one hates the character and makes tons of money off of it. And
So,
the
like, real
latest
life.
Superman type movie is coming out. In the middle of it, the artist, the one who still loves the character, has two sons who are semi-estranged to head on different paths. And all of these characters start to rotate and revolve around each other before there's some big changes by the end of the first issue. Very inside baseball, but so
That's
are
what I was
we.
gonna say. Oh yes, I'm on like I'm a shortstop essentially when it comes to baseball. I do think this book is written for it's like a fantasy for comic book creators essentially. I think it's cool. Like I like it. I think the story, the where it ends up at the end of the first issue is interesting, but I'm curious where it goes from here. To me, it could easily be one more issue and be like, got it. But I do think it's going to continue to branch out into different areas, and I'm curious. It's going to get so wonky, I feel like. So I'm curious. And Chip Zdarsky is a great writer, so I'm sure he can find new areas to explore, like he's been doing in his Daredevil run. But I'm curious where that is in a world that is very much set inside the specifics of Hollywood.
Yeah, I mean, I've got hope that this is going to be better than real life, because we all know in real life the artist gets ripped off and gets no money and no love. So I'm hoping we're going to go in a different direction. But unlike you, Justin, I'm not going to attack Chip Zdarsky and you call this stuff, you're like, this is going to get wobbly. I would never say that.
I said wonky.
Yeah, okay, sorry.
And I mean that in that it's going to get too very specific into details, like policy wonk if you're talking about politics.
Okay, I guess I don't know what wonky means, but anyways,
Like Willy Wonky.
I didn't appreciate the negative connotations you were putting on Chip Zdarsky's work. I don't think he deserves any of that. And
I was actually very positive about him, if you remember 1 second ago.
Okay, well, I didn't listen. I just heard the word wonky, and I was like, "That's negative," and I don't like it.
That was actually not.
But I think this is a cool premise, and it gives me hope. I'm hoping that, like Ted Lasso, this will have a positive spin on a story that we know all too well. And if we're talking about inside baseball, I guess I would be an announcer commenting on a sport that has always been a little too out of my reach.
Let me just throw out there for the listener, if you don't know this, you can add like Ted Lasso to the beginning of any sentence that Pete says on this podcast and in real life. So feel free to just imagine that right before Pete.
Guilty as charged.
I completely hear what both of you guys are saying. I really like this a lot. I thought it's great seeing Chip Zdarsky on art again, something that we haven't seen for a little bit since Sex Criminals. He's got little humorous bits throughout there. I don't think I really appreciated all of his derogatory names for geek-friendly like podcasts and stuff who are doing interviews. That was a pretty abysmal part of the book,
runner.
to be honest.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Dude. Come
Okay.
on. Wow.
Okay. But
wow.
No, it was very funny. And the whole thing is very funny. I'm very curious to see where it goes because, like you said, Justin, I do think he is going to get very in the weeds here about this stuff. But at the same time, it's a situation that's going to spiral out of control in potentially big ways. And I think there's a lot of creativity that could happen there and I think will happen there.
Sometimes the weeds is a great place to be. It's where the frogs are.
There you go.
Okay.
Buffy 97, #1 from Boom Studios, written by Jeremy Lambert, art by Marianna Ignazzi. This is, as the title says, taking it back to Buffy's roots. We're getting a tale of them going to the mall and getting sucked into a magazine. Like we've talked about with a lot of these Buffy books, this is one that actually pretty much has the classic characters and classic situations. So I know you guys have been very iffy about the remixes here, including one that we're going to talk about later on in the podcast. But what did you think about this issue?
I thought this was fun. I felt like they did a good job of like kind of setting up the kind of pace of this and the kind of bits. So I appreciate it. It was easy to kind of follow and understand. And that zombie kind of quarter looking villain was freaking me out. But other than that, the kind of the magical kind of bad lady was pretty cool.
I like this a lot too. Of all the Buffy sort of expanded universe books we're getting, this one had such a strong take and such a strong art take, which I really liked. And the format sort of played out like a fashion magazine because that was the content they were dealing with, or like a classic Archie double digest issue where it was like a lot of spreads where you're seeing just silent panels of the characters or their friends in cool clothes hanging out, and it was a nice tonal use of that. So I thought it was cool, and the story was creepy in a good way.
Yeah. Iron Cat, #1 from Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, art by Pere Pérez. In this issue, we are picking back up on one of Justin's favorite comic books.
Yes.
As the Black Cat tries to solve a new mystery of who is in the Iron Cat armor with some twists there. Justin, take it away.
I love Jed MacKay's sort of mini universe of Black Cat, and I think he finds ways to continually expand and go in different directions, build this mythology.
Tell you what, dogs don't like cats.
Wait, is Pip Don't Slip like giving her own review in the background? Is that what's up?
Yeah, there's like, dogs and people, they don't know. They just want to have their opinion known. Mm-hmm. Cats. But as I was saying, like, and this adds like some nice past stuff and Black Cat's relationship to Black Fox and a new character. And then touching off on the continuity where Black Cat has been messing with Iron Man lately and stealing from him and seeing that come through. It's just a really smartly written. It's fun. It's funny. It's got the great criminal theft angles. It's just, if you haven't checked this out, I recommend picking up really any issue in the run.
I agree with what Justin was saying. It's really smart, the twists and turns and the intertwining of characters. And it was a fun moment where Black Cat's like, what's that got to do with me and what I'm doing right now? And then that fun reveal. Great times.
Next up, The Swamp Thing, #14 from DC Comics, written by Ram V, art by Mike Perkins. In this issue, the Swamp Thing has gone to space with Green Lantern while down on Earth. The new machine, I'm forgetting what it's called, but basically, like, there's the red, the green, and now there's the machines, are starting a big war there with the avatar of the green. This is the sort of trippy, crazy shit that I want from Swamp Thing that makes it feel like old school Vertigo. Love this issue.
Agree completely. Like I think this Ram V series has been so good. I feel like it's a limited series. It's sort of a countdown that's stressed, like a Spawn style countdown that's stressing me out because I really love it. I want it to keep going, and they added some issues from its original numbering. So here's hoping we get more and more of it because I think it's great.
I don't want to poke the bear here on this one, but again, the cover gave things away, which I didn't appreciate. It was a lot of Green Lantern and my Swamp Thing, which also I was like, green.
They're green friends. They're green.
Green friends,
but
like
buddies.
Don't fucking yuck my yum. You know what I mean? With too much of your Green Lantern bullshit. But I did appreciate the Space Dust guy who just kind of like walked away from Green Lantern and was like turned into Space Dust, because that's how I feel like as soon as one person starts going off about Green Lantern. So that was kind of like, I would like to live.
You turned to Space Dust?
Yeah, it would be nice if someone was just kind of going, it's great about Green Lantern, and I could just kind of step off into the air and just kind of turn into Space Dust. You know what I mean?
You know what you're going to start doing is you wear 3 pairs of underwear. Really protects you from people trying to talk to you about Green Lantern. You know what I'm talking about? Sins of the Black.
Are you trying to have any more kids, Alex? Because I wouldn't.
It's been hard so far. Sins of the Black Flamingo, #1 from Image Comics, written by Andrew Wheeler, art by Travis Moore. In this issue, we meet a gentleman thief type character who is stealing magical relics, sometimes for good, sometimes for not quite so good, but as you might expect, he gets embroiled in something much, much bigger than him. I didn't know what to expect going into this issue, and I came out loving it. I thought it was so good, so smart, so funny. The art by Travis Moore is amazing.
So good.
One of my favorites of the week.
I really like this as well. I feel like you get there's a fair number of books that are like, and the main character is a charming thief, and then you read about it and you're like, this guy sucks. And in this comic, they do such a great job of making our main character like super charming, super fun, and then I like how just committed to the sort of magic, mystical side of it the book is, in such a way where they don't have to be like, so here's the type of magic that this person does. It's based on this, blah, blah, and then it just is like, nope, she's doing some magic over here, and like very coolly written.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's very coolly written. It's very slick. There's a lot of hot naked dudes in here. So, what's not to like?
There you go. That did not go the direction that I thought it was going to go based on your attitude. All right, Hellboy and the
feels a little crotchety.
Yeah. Hellboy and the B.P.R.D. Old Man Whittier #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Mike Mignola, art by Gabriel, Hernandez, Walta. This is another one-shot tale of Hellboy this time, as he explores a mysterious mansion that may be tied to a case that he explored back in the day. Pete, you're our Hellboy boy. Talk about it.
Hellboy
Boy.
Yeah, this was just classic Hellboy fun. I love this. This was just so great. It was fun to see Hellboy talk shit to these creepy old ghosts and people, and right the wrongs. I love this. I love this kind of like Hellboy just kind of walking around, helping things out, releasing ghosts and all that kind of stuff. And that like last bit he did at the panel, I fell out laughing. This is just amazing art, amazing kind of characters driven story. What's not to love?
You ever talk shit to ghosts?
No, I don't have the. I'm not gonna fucking start talking shit to ghosts. You're out of your mind.
I'm just saying, the snakes seem pretty easy to handle. They weren't even poisonous.
Yeah. I thought those were great. I love these Hellboy one shots. They're very, very fun.
When we reviewed the last one, I was like, why can't we just do this all the time? And then now it seems like here comes some more of them. They're some of the most casual storytelling in comics right now, where it's just like, he's like, I don't know about this house. And he's like, I'm going to go in this other door. And then he's like, oh, here's the problem. And then he's like, then we solved it. And then he's like, here's a little joke on the way out. Like, it's just so chill.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Now, why don't we move on?
It's like yacht rock for comics.
Oh, come on, dude. Don't you undercut
It's easy listening. I'm not. It's
fuck
easy
you,
listening.
man. No, fuck
People
you.
love yacht rock. Don't worry about it. Don't
Dude,
yuck their
Pete,
yum.
you
right,
love
Pete?
yacht rock.
I don't know if that's
yacht rock.
true. I don't know if that's true or not. But the point is, like,
You don't know.
don't undercut all the creativity and amazing stuff that is in this
I
comic.
just said it was like yacht rock. It's
I
not
don't-
undercut.
that's a slap in the face.
People had to try hard to make those songs that are like chill and fun.
Don't give this a Greg Pak kick in the pants, bro. You were
When
this was
when
really
Greg
good.
Pak says that, he means it as a positive.
Sometimes.
Nope. Okay, we're going to move on because we have a sponsor for this week's episode. It is Worlds Away. Worlds Away is the last god meets Radiant Black. Set in a futuristic universe, Worlds Away #1 separates itself from the pack by blending high-octane sci-fi action in a fantastical, archaic setting, all glued together by a story of a mother who will stop at nothing to protect her daughter. It's
Makes
a
sense.
spellbinding 22-page issue filled with thrilling action sequences, grounded by intense and sometimes brutal character moments and decisions. At the end of Worlds Away in #1, readers will be on the edge of their seats, itching to know what dangers await our characters. Created by Damian Becton, 6th grade English teacher and 2021 winning comic writer of Man Cave Studios' annual talent search, Worlds Away is now live on Kickstarter. Go to worldsawaycomic.com or search Worlds Away #1 on Kickstarter right now.
Not part of the ad, but that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Why don't we move on to some other comics, though? Captain America, Symbol of Truth, #2 from Marvel,
Now
written
we're
by
talking.
Tochi Onyebuchi and art by R.B. Silva. In this issue, Sam
Arby's.
Wilson is... Don't do that. Sam Wilson is still on search for a bunch of super soldier serum, I believe is what's going on here. Whatever it is, he's having a fun time with Deadpool. That's the basic idea.
Yeah. What a fun odd couple team up. I mean, I didn't know I needed this in my life, but now I do. And I'm very happy it exists. This is cool. Why not? Yeah. Hell fucking yeah, man.
Well, and I feel like this is something we just aren't getting until now with the Sam Wilson Cap, is just sort of a regular Cap story. Like, I feel like Sam Wilson's stories are always tied up in a larger thing or are in a particular direction. This is just some fun, and it's a team up. It feels like Sam Wilson is the Cap of the Marvel Universe when you read this book.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this as well. Next up, Action Comics number 1044 from DC Comics, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Riccardo Federici and Will Conrad and David Lapham. In the front story, Superman is continuing his fight against Mongol and Warworld with some surprising results by the end of the issue. We also get a backup story here showing on what's going on with the rest of the Super family back on Earth. Pete, I believe you were pretty jazzed about this one. Want to talk about it?
I was super jazz handsed about it. This is a lot of fun. This is great. Philip Kennedy Johnson is killing this. This is the art is beyond bananas good. I love how intense this is. I love.
Hold on, what's beyond bananas? You walk into the supermarket, you see bananas, you're like, this is a great part.
We must go further. Excuse me, produce boy. We must go further than these bananas. Take me. He's like, you mean plantains, sir? Let go of my shirt. Plantain's good. This artist plantain's good.
Anyways, I really think that this is just a fucking great package, man. This is just such a must pick up right now. I don't know what you're doing, but fucking get this comic.
Wow. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Get the comic.
Pete is the father of us all when it comes to telling us how to get this comic. I wonder when this book was originally pitched. I feel like it was like going to take some of the stuff from The Last God and really bring it to Superman. But I wonder if everyone is as cognizant of the fact that Philip Kennedy Johnson was going to be able to like unearth all this great like real Superman like purity and wholesomeness that he is just highlighting in every issue of this book, while also showing this wild alien adventure. This is just a landmark run. I really hope this gets held up as just a really great true Superman story.
I agree, and knowing that Superman is going to be returning to Earth sooner rather than later, I don't remember the exact schedule there. I'm very curious to see how this keeps going as well. Like, this is definitely cresting up to a big place, but what will happen beyond that? What will the ramifications be? Very interested to check it all out. Next up, Ghost Cage number 3 from Image Comics, written by Nick Dragotta and Caleb Gollner, art by Nick Dragotta. This certainly seems like the last issue of this series, potentially, about a bunch of folks fighting their way up a smokestack and fighting various monsters. Pete, this was one of your favorites of the week.
It was. I love the art style on this book. It is just so fantastic. And, you know, as somebody who is worried about ghosts, we got to come up with something.
Stop talking shit to them, dude.
We need...
Stop talking shit.
Never. That was you. We need some kind of cage. We need some kind of, entrapment unit, something for these ghosts. And I'm glad that, it's comics like this that exploring these ideas. No, but I really think that the action, the anime kind of style of this is just a really great... a very cool looking, unbelievable book, and I love the black and white feel, the grittiness.
You're saying these ghosts need to be busted.
That's right, because busted makes me
feel good.
Yeah.
Busted makes me feel good. Great. Glad we got there. I mean, if you're a fan of the book East Meets West, East of West. It's this not only has Nick Dragotta's art that is very much in the same style, it is like right next door to that book in a good way. Like it has a similar story, like big storytelling characters on a journey,
like somebody you want to visit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Great stuff. Why don't we move on to a definite last issue, which is Seven Secrets, number 18 from Boom Studios, written by Tom Taylor, art by Danielle DiNiccolo. In this issue, not only do we have the finale here, we find out what the secrets are the whole time.
All seven?
All seven, and big revelations of how it all ends. Without spoiling that, I want to throw out to you, and I don't know if you guys had the same experience, but what I was really struck by with this issue, and this is mildly skirting spoilers, but it reminded me of sometimes doing like really huge play sessions as a kid with other kids where you're like riffing off of stuff, and you start with like, well, I have these two action figures, and it ends up being like, and here's how this guy created the universe, and this other guy is the evil guy in the universe, and they're gonna fight, and it's for everything, and all the other action figures are gonna stand there and they're gonna watch this awesome fight, and it's gonna be so cool. And I like that, so I enjoyed this issue.
Yeah, what you just described, Alex, is any improv set. I think Pete and I have some experience doing that because it did really build out to like some big revelations that I think we had no idea the connections were going to be as strong and surprising as they were in the end. Like a great, satisfying improv show when the performers can really bring it all together in a creative way, and that's what this book did.
Yeah, I love the callbacks.
Thanks, Pete. Pete, you can lean into
Pete,
the microphone.
Fully in another room.
It's not going to bite you. It's not going to bite your nose off.
Thanks.
She-Hulk number 4 from Marvel, written by Rainbow Rowell, art by Luca Baresca. In this issue, She-Hulk is continuing to grapple with her identity issues as well as what's been going on with Jack of Hearts and setting up her new law practice. Very fun visuals in this issue. There's a bunch of stuff with a bunch of heroes coming to visit her law office that I thought was so fun.
Very fun.
I have a blast reading this. And like I say, every issue, I just need more of it every time. But then they keep bringing more out. So it's all good.
They're having a lot of fun with this. They're having fun with the little Fight Club references. And yeah, this is just great. This is just continues to not only give us more in She-Hulk's life and what she's doing, but is doing it in such a fun way that kind of like really gets you excited to learn more about this character and how she's going to handle this world that she is treading in. So very exciting. Art is fantastic. This is cool.
Agree with all that. Great art, great story, fun character.
Batman Fortress number 2 from DC Comics, written by Gary Whitta, art by Derek Robinson. A alien armada is invading Earth, or at least one ship is invading Earth. Superman is missing, and the Justice League is trying to find out what's going on. I'll tell you what, I was surprised about this issue, and part of the reason I was surprised, despite the fact that Derek Robinson's art is always great, I thought the concept was, what if Batman had to go up against an alien invasion all by himself, which is kind of what we got in the first issue. And the second issue was like, and here's the Justice League.
Well, exactly, because I think the first issue was like, because we didn't even get that in the first issue. The first issue was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to do this alone. And this issue was like, by calling all my friends in and doing it. And I was like, that didn't go super well. I guess I'm going to do this alone. And I'm like, next issue, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know. But are you still enjoying this, Pete?
Yeah, I think this is fun. This whole kind of like intense alien attacks thing, super convenient for Superman not to be there. What's going on with that guy? But I'm excited to see what happens next.
What's the first? Yeah, go ahead.
Just one other thing, like the way that everyone sort of got taken down in this issue, and Batman was like, "Oof." We did not do a good job there. I was like, not really.
Weird reaction.
The emotional reaction I was expecting. He was like hanging out with Alfred, being like, we sort of blew that.
Ooh, man, that was rough.
Weird stuff.
Yeah.
What's the Furthest Place from Here, number 7 from Image Comics, written by Josh Hickson and Matthew Rosenberg, art by Tyler Boss. In this issue, we are flashing back to the beginning of whatever happened to this world that seems to just have kids. We actually see some grown-ups this issue, as well as a lot more about what's going on. So this is a big revelation issue. What do you guys think about this one?
I mean, as you guys have kids, this has got to be the dream, right? Just somebody goes and takes your kids and puts them in some kind of Candyland place where they can just go and hang out with each other, and you guys can go and, work your jobs and take care of things and live your life.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly
go to my
seem
candy
to be
place.
What's happening, because the adults are getting torn apart and eaten, I think.
Well, sure. Yeah, there's that side.
I wouldn't love that part.
Well, you wouldn't sacrifice your kids so they could have a Candyland adventure and just eat.
Not if it's my death, man.
Oh, really? Wow.
That's sort of what parenting is, Alex, when you think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We're slowly sacrificing. We're slowly being eaten by our lives.
Tree. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What do you think about this one,
I'm almost
Justin,
out of apples.
as a parent?
Well, let me say, this could have been the first issue of this comic. I feel like if you start at this is definitely the beginning of sort of the story. But I gotta give, like, the way that the series has played out as this sort of, we don't know what's happening or why, but we're just following these characters and we get caught up with it. And then to jump back and really give us the deep dive, I think is cool. And it's a surprising way to do it, though.
I really like this one quite a bit. Tyler Bross's art, as always, is awesome. Next up,
scary.
Here's what I was way wrong about. I thought it ended. It didn't. Berserker #9 from Boom Studios, written by Keanu Reeves and Matt Kinn, art by Ron Gardy. In this issue, our main Berserker finally comes back to Earth with devastating results. Pete, you love a good fight.
Sure do, buddy. I thought there was more you were going to say there, but all right. No. So, yeah.
I thought my brain shut down.
The action on this is just glorious. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, come on. The Garney is no joke. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff where I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm still having a great time because of all the action. Yes, please, of this team. Anything you guys want to do, I am there for. It's an unbelievable team. And it's nice to see somebody, just lose their fucking mind and start tearing things apart. You know what I mean? Like, what a life.
Yeah, that Pete's dream. Keep kissing the Garney stone on this one because I think this art is fantastic.
Excellent. Why don't we, talk about the Avengers number 57 from Marvel, written by Jason Aaron, art by Javier Garron. The Avengers are headed back in time throughout not their history, but different Avengers throughout history in order to combat different Mephistos throughout the multiverse who have all banded together. Here they're finding a Sorcerer Supreme who operated in World War II for a pretty fun done-in-one adventure that'll probably come back at some point as Jason Aaron continues to tell this mega story. Justin, what did you think about this one?
Jason Aaron, we've talked, I've made this point a bunch, but the Jason Aaron's Avengers run, it's just like, and I say this sounds like lame, but I say it as a compliment. It's like wild freeform jazz where you're like, whoa. Just like, it feels like he's just moving through Avengers, all the Avengers sort of continuity and just pulling in elements and finding new ways to use them. I just want to read the first line of this comic. In the necro-bazaars of Algiers, word is that Hitler has himself a new secret weapon. Big swing out of the gate, and it only gets crazier with more and more wild specifics. The reveal of the Soldier Supreme is so satisfying. It's a character we just met in this issue.
Holy beans and weenies, this is a lot of fun. This is just a lot of really cool moments. Jason Aaron just having a blast, and even though there's more Mephistos than I would ever like in a comic, I'm still enjoying it. So, I mean, it's got to be good.
I'm just going to throw out a theory to you guys if you're ready. I think Pete said beans and weenies because beans sounds like bananas and weenies are long and thin like bananas are. Is that right, Pete?
Ooh.
I was quoting the comic back to you guys.
Oh, okay. Right.
No, I think that's the new catchphrase. Like Ted Lasso, that's a great catchphrase.
Oh my God.
It is. And they eat bangers and mash and like beans on toast and stuff over there. So that's a Ted Lasso right there. DC versus Vampires Killers #1 from DC Comics, written by Matthew Rosenberg, art by Mike Bowden.
Said it ahead.
Eduardo. I know. That's what really threw me. Eduardo Mello. In this issue, we're catching up with the world where vampires have taken over. Harley Quinn and Catwoman don't want anything to do with it. They just want to do their crime. And as usual, they can't because they get sucked back into it by Jim Gordon. Pete, I know you're really beans and weenieing about this issue. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, like, first off, Bergie is killing the game. Anytime I see Bergie's name attached to something, I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to read it. And, a lot of people are saying, like, holy crap, Harley Quinn's and everything. But if it's amazing, I don't care. And this is just a great example of that. Like, when Jim Gordon shows up and she calls him Jeff, I fell out.
I think it's Jeff Gordon, yeah.
Yeah, I fucking fell out when she's like, Jeff. And it's like, so everybody knows it's fucking Jim Gordon. Just so funny. Like, that's what's so fun about the Harley Quinn character is these kind of fun bits that you can do and still have it be like badass and kind of fit this DC mold. This just seems completely intense and insane, and it's nice to have Bergie at the helm kind of leading us through it. So hells to the motherfucking yeah.
I mean, across the board, I think we've said this DC versus Vampires event is plantains good. So more of that, please.
The Department of Truth, number 19 from Image Comics, written by James Tynion IV, art by Martin Simmons. In this issue, we're getting some big plot stuff is going down as our main character finds out more about the Department of Truth. There's some big, huge movements by the end that I don't want to spoil from the enemy. If they are the enemy, it's not 100% clear. But I know there's like, I mention this every time with this book, but like there's been a lot of info dump type issues, which are really smart and they're well structured and well written. But when it gets to the plot like this book hums. It kills it. And it's so dangerous and scary and nerve wracking to read. Love it.
I agree. I love this book. I was watching this, I was reading this today while the January 6th hearing was on, and I was like, is this the same? Am I like in and out of reality here? Like, it just felt like realities were combining in a way that I was like, that's how sort of prescient and on it this book is, and I love it.
And that's when the mushrooms kicked in. Yeah, this book is straight up gorgeous. It's really just unbelievable paneling and such a creepy and amazing use of the American flag in this comic. Just continues to impress. I just, when I think like, oh, okay, I get an understanding of what's going on, they're kind of bringing fresh ideas. So it's creepy in all the right ways and is very intriguing. Every issue is kind of like a must pick up.
The Vampire Slayer, number 3 from Boom Studios, written by Sarah Galley, art by Michael Shelfer. As I mentioned earlier, this is one of those remixes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, here taking place in a world where Willow has become the Vampire Slayer instead of Buffy. There's a lot of other big changes with the other characters. Specifically, we catch up with Xander here, who is having issues with his boyfriend. I think, if I remember correctly, we were a little iffy on the first issue, but we all really dug the second issue, and this is from the same creator from Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer, which was one of the better Buffy books. So how do you feel this held up in issue number 3? Was it more like issue number 1 or more like issue number 2?
We're going to silently say 2.
Don't register what you say. Just hold up your fingers.
Hey, well, I was just giving you nonverbal cues that I'm ready to talk if you want to go to me or if you want to
okay. Go ahead, Pete.
I thought you were like, I would like to go second. I'm second in line.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, give
Peace a chance.
This is a lot of fun. The whole worm thing was a lot of fun. Yeah, this was cool. And, it's stuff like this that makes me think maybe it should have been Willow the whole time. You know what I mean? Yeah, great art, fun character stuff. It's I like the back and forth and the banter. This is a great comic.
This comic feels the most like the Buffy TV show, early seasons of the TV show where we've just eliminated Buffy. There's a reason the book is called The Vampire Slayer. No Buffy in the title, no Buffy in the book. And it's just everybody else doing their thing.
Well, just to clarify, Buffy is in the book, but she's a regular human. She doesn't have Vampire Slayer powers.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah, right. But we don't have time for regular humans.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is great. Like Pete said, there's this whole bit with Xander is dealing with relationship issues. So an enormous worm monster comes in and just wants to talk about its feelings. It's so funny. I wish that was the entire issue.
I agree.
You're saying,
that back
Justin,
and forth was just so much fun.
It completely nailed it. And then even if the rest of the bit, which is this new version of Spike hanging out with Xander, is not quite the high of that worm monster, it's still a lot of fun and the dynamic is really good. I'm really enjoying this and I'm excited to see where it goes. Moving on to A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, number 9 from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender, art by Andre Lima Arojo, picking up on the huge cliffhanger of the last issue. Or not at all, actually, as we jump ahead with both of our main characters. This dude, who seems mostly unkillable, and his young ward are very much alive and okay. They've escaped their ordeal and are living the life, eating shrimp tacos.
Getting some great tacos.
Oh, man, those tacos look so good.
The most horrible thing you can imagine comes for them, his mom.
Well, that's what the last page reveal of it being his mom has come to visit. I was like, this is going to be some horrible killer or something, and maybe she will be. But that was a fun twist in an issue that was building tension the whole time because they were having too good of a time.
Too good of a time for Rick Remender stuff. That's a kiss of death. That's what makes me think that they're already dead, because you can't eat tacos like that twice. You know what I mean? Like that's just a once and then you die type of taco.
That's your James Bond movie, right? You can't eat tacos like that twice.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read the script.
Yeah. Anyways, I just feel that like this was just
Pete, did
a
both of your
great,
headphones
great
just
issue
fall
and
out?
a lot
You
of
can't even
fun.
hear us.
He can't hear anything.
I can't
He's
One
just
of his
talking.
headphones fell out and he just kept talking, and then the other headphone went fall out and he just kept talking.
Yeah, it's been a nightmare. It's doing it the whole show.
It's bad.
But
Your ears are closing up. You got
Yeah.
tiny tubes.
This is great. Let's move on to talk about Pearl #2 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Brian Michael Bendis, art by Michael Begados. I think we talked about this, Justin, on an episode where it was just the two of us, though I could be wrong.
Yes.
But this is picking up on the
Just the
old
two of
series
us.
that the two of them created together about a young Yakuza leader. This was, to be upfront, very frustrating to me because the first issue ended with this big cliffhanger that felt like, here we go. And then in classic Bendis fashion, it was like, that already happened a while ago. And we'll flash back to it a little bit later, but we're going to just talk about the aftermath. So characterization still really good. Some awesome art and sequences from Michael Gaydos, but I want this book to get to something personally.
Well, and it feels like it's almost purposefully not, because the first issue, I think we were like, what is this? It's a bunch of like people hanging out and talking about stuff that we don't really know about as a first issue. And sure, I know it's the third volume of this, but it felt like very much like not talking about anything. Then something crazy happened in this issue. I actually like this issue better because at least the conversations I thought were good. The conversation between Pearl and the FBI agent I thought was a great, like, sort of noir-y back and forth about someone avoiding saying something and putting out a fake persona at the same time. That was a cool scene, I thought. But yes, I do want like just like some narrative with a full line through it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I think that this is very intriguing. The art's fantastic. It really sets up this kind of noir feel. But I'm concerned about this lady's tattoos that seem to like sometimes appear, but then sometimes aren't there.
You didn't think she didn't pay? Maybe she didn't pay full price for them,
Or maybe it's like a whole nother generation of tattoos that is like almost like a mood ring that only shows up when like shit gets real. You know what I mean?
That's like you have a mood beard that only appears when you're angry.
Yeah.
Last but not least, as mentioned, this was our request this week from a nice, crisp Espinette. It is Silver Surfer Requiem from Marvel, written by J. Michael Straczynski, art by Asad Ribic. This is a 4-issue mini-series where, you can figure this out from the title, but Silver Surfer finds out that he is going to die, and over the course of 4 issues takes a tour of the Marvel Universe. I definitely remember reading this back in the day, but I didn't remember any of the details of it. But what did you guys think, either revisiting this or checking this out for the first time?
I loved it when it came out initially, and I loved rereading it. Like the Asad Ribic art is so good; it's so like Marvel Masterworks trading card style art, which is really cool, and it is perfectly paired with sort of the high drama, high melodrama, big storytelling that J. Michael Straczynski's doing here. It's hard to fully remember that JMS was like a huge deal for so long, and he is a great comic writer. I don't want to get into some of the other little things he's done in his life, which can be not as good, but and this story is great. I think the Silver Surfer is one of the best Marvel characters to tell a big, like, emotional story with, because he's such a blank slate who is like highly emotional but also completely unemotional at the same time.
Pete, what about you? What did you think?
The fucking art, man. Every fucking panel is just beautiful, like absolutely gorgeous. When this comic was brought up, and I was like, oh, I remember. The only thing that kept coming to my mind was like, I remember it being beautiful. I remember it being like artistically an achievement. And then going back and revisiting it, it's it's kind of it's tough because now I'm not sure what's going on with the writer, but if that something isn't cool, that's not cool. But this is just a great combination of like the sacrifice that Silver Surfer is making for all of us, and like it's doing it in such a deep, beautiful way that it was like I was so happy that had to reread this because it was really very moving.
The thing that I thought was actually really interesting about revisiting this series is JMS, despite, like you're saying, Justin, being one of the bigger writers of this period in Marvel Comics, and even the fact that, like, he tends to build these enormous mythologies, is a very grounded writer. Like, he always gives a very ground level thing. So,
yeah.
It was surprising to me to see him on Silver Surfer. It isn't necessarily what I'd expect, but I do think his execution plays to its strengths. To the detriment of the comic is definitely too strong because I really like this book across the board. But the first issue, Silver Surfer is going to the Fantastic Four and dealing with that. Makes total sense. And by the end of that issue, I was like, okay, here we go. He's found out he's dead. He's dealt with the Fantastic Four, which are his iconic pairing. Now we're going to see him do this tour of the universe, and it's going to expand outward as it goes. And then the second issue is like, and here I am still on Earth, now hanging out with Spider-Man, which JMS was the Spider-Man writer, so I understand why Spider-Man was in there. But that was the issue that, like, even though I loved bits in it that I thought were so wonderful, felt like a little bit of a waste of the issue's length. I don't know, whatever word you'd use there, because it isn't until issue 3 that he goes and explores space, and then issue 4, spoiler, though you can figure this out, he ends up in Zedla, and there's Galactus and all of those things. So it felt like those bookends really made a lot of sense to me. Issue 3 made a lot of sense to me. Issue 2 was the one that felt like, hey, you got to get Spider-Man in there for the sales, because I don't, have they ever hung out? Like, has there ever been a connection with him? Probably.
But it seemed like he was on his way out. He was on his way out, and he saw some trouble happening.
You can come into the mic, Pete.
He was on his way out, and he saw the trouble happening, and he was like, you know what? Instead of flying around universe, you know what? I need to help. And that was kind of like the bigger thing, where it was like he was going to kind of go on this ride for him and have one last kind of hurrah with everything. But then this kind of thing that, you know, caught his attention and kind of derailed his journey became something bigger in itself. So, like, yeah, I mean, the whole MJ moment was unbelievable. Like,
maybe this was the coloring in the version that I read. Did it look like after MJ did her Vision Quest thing with Silver Surfer, when she came back, she was Gwen Stacy?
What, dude?
Ooh.
Yeah, it must have been some. I read the Kindle version, and there must have been some weird coloring, because there's a moment you only see her lying in Spider-Man's arms, and it's a blonde lady with a headband.
Okay, all right.
MJ, which is very strange.
Now I'm gonna fucking have to go through this here. You guys riff here.
All right, absolutely. I guess my point is, I thought on its own, it's a beautiful Silver Surfer Spider-Man story. I just wish it wasn't the second issue of the book.
She's got the fucking headband and the thing before.
Okay.
When she rolls in.
Okay.
I get you. Like, if this was a longer series, it would have made more sense to have a full Spidey.
And her hair's not any lighter when she comes back, bro. Don't put your shit on shit. You know what I mean? Don't bring your baggage.
I just think this book is garbage, and the second issue in particular. That's what I'm
my God, dude.
No, I thought it was great. It's well worth reading. Thank you. I definitely am going to drink a crisp Aspinet in your honor.
We have to. We all have to.
Absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion. If you would like to suggest something, Apple Podcasts, leave a comment. We'll get to it. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/Comic Book Club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Crowdcast on YouTube. Come hang out. We'd love to chat with you about comic books. Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter, comicbookclublive.com. For this podcast and many more, until next time, we'll see you at the comic book shop.
Like Ted Lasso. Good night.